Deepak Menon. Deepak has been a Toastmaster since 2002. His home club is Central Delhi Toastmasters. He has held a number of high-profile leadership positions within Toastmasters and has attained the Distinguished Toastmaster designation. As an officer of Toastmasters International Board of Directors, Mr. Menon is a working ambassador for the organization. He works with the board to develop, support, and modify the policies and procedures that guide Toastmasters International in fulfilling its mission. In a statement, Deepak says, "Toastmasters has taught me skills that no school, college, or university can teach. It has helped me evolve from being a lone player to being a team player, from being led to being a leader, from the problem to being the solutions." Here to talk about life lessons learned, District 68. Please help me welcome the 2019-2020 President of Toastmasters International, Distinguished Toastmaster, Mr. Deepak Menon.
Good morning, District 68. It's such a pleasure to be here with all of you today. I wanted to be with you in person, as was supposed to be, but then, well, life happens, and our life has today turned topsy-turvy, and we're learning new lessons of life in this time, in this pandemic that has affected us, impacted us all through the world. But today, I'm here to talk to you about the life lessons that I've learned in my Toastmasters journey. Now, I'm sure that most of you, when you joined Toastmasters, joined to enhance your communication skills. Some of you joined to enhance your leadership skills, and others to perhaps just have a good time. But the fact is that as members of Toastmasters, we gain so much more, so many lessons that we learn through Toastmasters that we don't learn elsewhere. In fact, no school, college, or university teaches us these lessons that we learn through Toastmasters, where we practice learning by doing. And so everything that we do, every meeting that we attend, every role that we take up in Toastmasters provides us that opportunity of learning and ensuring that we use that learning in our daily lives, in whatever we do. My learning started from the time that I joined Toastmasters. As your district director introduced me, he mentioned that I joined in 2002. So I'll have to take you back to 2002 to tell you about what I learned when I joined Toastmasters. It was May 2002, a very hot period of time in New Delhi, India. This is where I live. And in May 2002, at that time, I was attending a wedding. A wedding quite like any glitzy, glamorous Indian wedding. A wedding quite like the one described by Aaron Beverly in his World Championship speech last year, those of you who were witness to it. So there I was at this wedding. This wedding happened to be of my cousin. And I was sitting in a corner. I was not an active participant in the wedding. I was not the groom. I was not the groom's father. I was the groom's cousin. And so I was sitting in a corner and watching and observing what was going on with interest. Everybody running helter and skelter, very busy, doing whatever they had to. When suddenly I felt a tap on my shoulder. And when I looked around, I saw the groom's father, my uncle. He turned, looked at me and said, "Deepak, you're having a good time?" I said, "Yeah, I'm having a good time." And then he said, "I wanted to talk to you about something." And I said, "Yeah, sure." I was wondering, why would he want to talk to me at such a busy time? He's, after all, the father of the groom. He should be busy with whatever was required to be done at the wedding. But he took that time out and said, "Deepak, have you heard of Toastmasters?" I was quite confused. I'd never heard of Toastmasters. Let me tell you, at that time in New Delhi, there was only the one club of which my uncle had been the president. And therefore, the fact that there were Toastmasters clubs anywhere was not very well known. And it was indeed the best kept secret, at least in India at that time. So when I looked at him with puzzlement, and I in fact asked him, is it got something to do with drinking? And of course, my uncle responded, no, it's got nothing to do with drinking. It's to help build communication skills. And I thought to myself, you know what? I've got great communication skills. I don't need to enhance my communication skills. And I was really not interested in learning more about Toastmasters. It didn't seem to be the place that I'd like to go to. And he continued talking about it. He said they have meetings twice every month, first and third Tuesdays. And he told me that the meeting venue was very close to my office. And he suggested that I wouldn't have to battle traffic to get to the meeting. And he suggested I attend the next meeting, which would be in the first Tuesday of June. I heard him out, didn't have anything much to say. And once the wedding was done, I got back home and I forgot all about Toastmasters. Until, of course, just short of the meeting, I get a call again from my uncle. His name, incidentally, Narinder Bajaj. So Narinder calls me and says, Deepak, you remember I talked to you about Toastmasters? Well, there's a meeting coming up tomorrow, and I'd like you to come and attend that meeting. Now, of course, as you recall, I said I was not interested in Toastmasters, or I thought, I did not tell him that. And so I made an excuse. I said, I have a meeting with a client. I can't make it tomorrow, but I will try to one of these days. Of course, that was lip service. I had no intention of going. I thought that was it. He wouldn't pursue me any further. But sure enough, come the third Tuesday of the month, and he calls me again and says, Deepak, we have our next meeting now. You promised that you'd come. I made another excuse. I didn't go. And then he called me again in July and said, we have a meeting. And you promised. And he sent me the agenda and said, you have to come. Now, I thought that the only way I could shake him off my back is by attending this meeting, and then telling him, look, I've attended the meeting. I'm no longer interested. I do not want to join Toastmasters, not for me. So I went for the meeting. And when I attended the meeting, it seemed quite like a meeting that you witness anywhere else in the world. Very supportive set of people, very good set of crowd there. All happy, cheerful, and friendly. I felt a lot of warmth emanating from the room as I entered it. I sat down, it was like a boardroom setting, and the meeting started. Everybody spoke quite well, and I was quite impressed, but yet I still did not feel that that was meant for me. I thought I could speak as well, if not better than them. And then came table topics, and I was called upon to speak on table topics. I still remember when I got up from my chair, I suddenly felt my heart start to race. And my legs were trembling as I walked up to the stage. I had never felt that way before. It was a strange feeling. It was almost as if I was having palpitations. And then I quite couldn't understand why I was feeling the way I did. But there I was, walking up to the stage, and as I was walking up, I felt a sheen of perspiration on my forehead as well. It was very strange, honestly. And my mind was going blank as well at the same time. When I approached the table topics master, and he spoke some topic, which I do not remember what it was. I don't even know whether it registered with me then. And he told me that I must speak for about a minute, that in a minute's time I'd seen a green card, and if I could, I should continue speaking for about 2 minutes when I would see the red card. And I remember that I stood there silently, couldn't figure out how to speak because my tongue seemed to be coiled up in ropes. No sound seemed to emerge from my mouth. Somehow I managed to speak something, and I saw the green card come up at 1 minute, and I ran back to my chair. I heaved such a sigh of relief and I sat back down. And I thought I needed to find a place where I could improve my confidence in speaking before an audience. But really, the last straw that broke the camel's back was when our counter reported in his report that evening that in the 1 minute that I did not speak, I had 27 fillers. Yes, indeed. I knew that I had to join Toastmasters. And before I left the meeting, I had filled up the form and submitted it. And that's how I became a Toastmaster, very unwillingly, but understanding why I needed to join. Friends, I started learning lessons of life from that point onwards. I learned how important it was to take opportunities as they came. Opportunity visits us often, and we let it go because we don't want to try it, we don't want to test it, we don't want to experiment. And you never know what you're going to miss if you do not try opportunities. Thereafter, I've tried every single opportunity that's come my way. I've said yes to opportunities, and I've never let opportunities go by. Yes, if you take an opportunity, if you try it, it might not work, but so be it. At least you tried it. I also learned how important it is to persist, how important it is that you must continue to persuade people who are coming to your acquaintanceship that you can get into Toastmasters. How important it is to ensure that guests who walk in and through the door, that you continue to follow them up and get them back into Toastmasters and have them join the meeting.
Skating. I'm not learning.
And the reason why that is that if they do not join Toastmasters, perhaps they may miss being a future president. I hear some background noise there. Perhaps it's be a good idea for people to mute themselves. Thank you. So I learned the importance of persistence and importance of ensuring that we get people who may still seem disinterested to come to our meetings and to try out Toastmasters, because those people may go on to become international presidents, or perhaps the world champion of public speaking. If Narinder had not persisted with me, I wouldn't have been here talking to you today. I wouldn't have heard of Toastmasters. I wouldn't have joined Toastmasters. And that's the power of persistence, the power of persuasion, the power of follow-up, which sometimes we miss out. As I joined Toastmasters, as I became a member of that club, I realized that at that time, that was the only club in New Delhi and one of 6 clubs in India. We were 5 clubs in Bangalore, deep down in the south of India, and this one club in India, in New Delhi. So 6 clubs in all. Today, of course, there are more than 1,000 clubs across India. That's 18 years later. And 4 districts. Of course, there were no districts at that time. I also learned that this club that I had joined had actually been suspended for non-payment of dues in September of 2001. And Narinder, along with a few other Toastmasters, had managed to get that club reinstated in March of 2002. So when I joined the club, there were barely 8-9 members in the club. But it was this power of resilience that I learned from Narinder, from what he did to revive this club. This club ultimately went on to become the mother club of what is today 2 districts, Districts 41 and District 98, because all of those clubs have arisen from that one single club. And that's the power of resilience, having the power to ensure that we do not lose hope, do not lose courage, despite challenges that confront us. In today's time, in this pandemic, I think every one of you has shown the courage of resilience, of springing back up despite the challenges. And that's why we're all here together in this virtual moment, in this virtual forum, because of that resilience that we learn from Toastmasters. Time moved on, and I ended up becoming the president of the club the following year. that's another story, why and how much I resisted becoming the president. But now I was the president, and I knew that we wanted to be the best club in the world, not just the best club in the city or in the country. And so we would have people coming in from all over the world coming to our Toastmasters meetings. You see, they had no choice. When visiting Toastmasters came into the city, they would look for Toastmasters, find this one club in the city, and if they were there on a Tuesday when the club was meeting, they would show up. As of course we all do when we go visiting other cities and we want to taste Toastmasters in those cities, and we make time to go and attend those meetings. So we used to get a lot of visitors and we used to learn from them. I still remember one occasion when we had this distinguished Toastmaster, Sid Chopra, visiting us from California. We were very excited to have Sid in our meeting, and we wanted to give him the best experience possible. That meeting, I remember we had an icebreaker speaker, and I was evaluating that speech. The icebreaker speaker, Ranjita, spoke very well that day. She spoke for about 4.5 minutes. And as icebreakers go, she did a very good job. When it came time for me to provide my evaluation for that speech, I recall that I talked about all the good things that she'd done. And then I had recommendations, because after all, recommendations are the key to improvement for everybody. And so I had recommendations. And then I talked about the best things that the speaker had done. And then by the time I finished speaking, it was about 7.5 minutes. Yeah, that's it. 7.5 minutes for my evaluation. You see, in our club, we felt that evaluations were the key to the success of our members, to ensure that they got the best benefit. So we didn't time our evaluators. We allowed them to speak for as long as they wanted. Some evaluations went on for 10 minutes. So 7 minutes was not too bad. However, meeting ended and we called upon our special guest, distinguished Toastmaster Sid Chopra, to come and tell us what he had experienced through this meeting. I knew he'd have only good things to speak because all through the meeting he was nodding and smiling, and clearly he was enjoying the meeting. And the first words that sprang from his mouth were, "This was a wonderful meeting. I enjoyed it thoroughly. In fact, I'm taking back some of what I've learned in this meeting back home into California." And then in passing, he mentioned, "I do have a suggestion to make. Perhaps you can consider to have your evaluations shorter than the speech themselves. And perhaps you can keep them for a length of 2 to 3 minutes." We looked at each other. We were astounded. Only 2 to 3 minutes for evaluations? How can that even be possible? But then he went on to say, well, that's what Toastmasters International prescribes, that you need your evaluations to be 2 to 3 minutes long. Haven't you read it in your manuals? And again, we looked around sheepishly because, of course, nobody had bothered to read, right? We don't read. We just do what we feel like. Well, I learned many lessons that day. I learned that evaluations needed to be 2 to 3 minutes long. And thereafter, every meeting, those were the length of our evaluations. We learned how important it was to receive feedback and then implement that feedback in everything that we do. I learned the importance of reading, to gaining the knowledge that is available through the resources that are available. And there are enormous amount of resources. And if resources aren't available, speak to people, get help from mentors, find out, get any kind of information that you possibly can so that you can be the best you can possibly be in the role that you're serving. And I made use of that opportunity of ensuring that I always asked for help, either from the resources that were available, and Toastmasters International offers us so much of wealth of resources on the website. And I made sure, not only did I read it, I made sure that every single member read what they were required to do, be prepared for what they were supposed to do, so that indeed we could become the best club in the world. Time moved on, and we started growing. On the number of clubs started growing, the number of members started growing, and we became a district. I remember 2006, 2007, the first year of our district. We were District 82, and it was all of the clubs in the countries of India and Sri Lanka that were formed into this district. I had by now become a member in multiple clubs. I was a member of about 4 Toastmasters clubs in the city, and I would go attend every single meeting. I remember this one meeting that I attended. One of our members, this was in December 2006, one of a recently joined members was presenting her 9th speech from the Competent Communication Manual. And those of you who may recall, the 9th speech is the Persuade with Power speech. And she was racing through this Competent Communication Manual. Imagine in 2 months, 9th speech already. And the reason was that she wanted to participate in the international speech contest that was coming up in the club. So not only did she know that she had to complete 6 speeches, but she felt that it was important that she gained all the skills that she could from the speech projects so that she could be an effective presenter in her international speech contest. So here she was with the 9th speech that day, and she did a good speech. She is a dentist by profession. And guess what she was talking about? She was talking about the importance of visiting a dentist twice a year. So it was more like a marketing speech, really, but it was a great speech. It was persuasive enough. And when it came time for the evaluation, the gentleman who was to evaluate her speech that day started by saying it was a good speech, and then said, because it was the 9th speech of the speaker, I'm going to be a little more critical than usual with my recommendations. And then he started with his recommendations. Recommendation 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 9. It was a laundry list of recommendations. It was almost as if there was nothing right with that speech. And then finally he closed by saying, but overall the speaker did well. You should have seen that young lady, the young Toastmaster. She was in tears. By the time she left the meeting, it was clear that she was sobbing and in a very terrible frame of mind. Later that night, she called me and told me, Deepak, I don't want to be in Toastmasters. I want to quit. This is not what I signed up for. I get all the criticism from the rest of the world. I thought Toastmasters was very supportive. It helped build self-esteem. And here I have felt so completely let down. My ego is shattered. I'm feeling extremely disappointed and depressed at this time. I heard her out. I knew that she needed an active listening ear at this time, rather than any words that I could offer her. And then the next morning, when I felt that she would have recovered, I called her back. And I told her that she needed to give Toastmasters another chance. So she had spoken on a Thursday evening at the club where she had received that evaluation. And I spoke to her Friday morning, and I suggested to her that she could go and speak at another club meeting the following day, another home club of mine at that time. It was a morning meeting, and I knew that there was a slot available that day. And I told her that I'd get her a slot to speak. Very unwillingly, she agreed that she would speak at that club meeting. That day, in the morning when she arrived at the meeting, we also had a visiting Toastmaster visiting us from Sri Lanka, from Colombo. His name, Balraj Arunasalam. I'm sure all of you have heard of Balraj, our past international president. Balraj, of course, was not a district officer then, not an international officer. He was not even a district officer at that time. But he had come on a personal visit to New Delhi, and he was a good friend of mine even then, and had come to visit our club. And I asked Balraj to evaluate that speech. Of course, I didn't tell him about the background. I didn't tell him about what had transpired with this young lady. So when he presented the evaluation, it would not be biased in any way. the young lady repeated her speech, did the exact same speech that she had done a couple of days ago. And when Balraj evaluated that speech, he said all good things about that speech. The only recommendation he had was perhaps the title of the speech could be different. That was it. And you should have seen that young lady that day. She was all smiles. She felt so supported. She felt on the top of the world that day. Friends, I learned the importance of evaluation, of feedback, of using our words carefully, of ensuring that we have empathy, that we have compassion towards our fellow members, knowing that what we say, how we say, can damage them, can change them forever. And how we do that, not just with our fellow members, but with our colleagues, with our friends, with our family members. It is extremely important. And that's a very valuable lesson of life that I learned that day. That young lady did not leave Toastmasters. Of course, she dropped out of the club that had given her that feedback and joined other clubs. She went on to become a champion speaker in the district and then took up leadership positions and ended up as the district director of the district. Friends, we continue to learn lessons all the time in everything that we do in Toastmasters, in every aspect of Toastmasters that we are experiencing, that we get influenced by. We also learn from our failures. Now, I told you that I had become the division governor of District 82 that first year. 2006, 2007, the first year of our district, we had no experience of leadership in that year. We didn't know about what our roles really involved, whether it was the district governor or the division governor. We were all in the same boat. We were serving in these positions for the first time. We had nobody to tell us what to do. It just so happened that that year, our district governor, the lieutenant governor education and training, and the lieutenant governor marketing, those were of course the titles at that time, which are now district director, program quality director, and club pro director. So that year, none of the three had been able to travel to the district leader training. And we didn't have any virtual district leader training at that time. So consequently, they really had absolutely no clue as to what they were supposed to do. And of course, nobody reads, right? That was the situation we were in. We had no knowledge, and we were just doing what we felt was right. Now, I had been given charge of a division which was the size of 3/4 of India. That's all of the north, west, and the east of India. It was only the southern states that were with another division governor, and then all of Sri Lanka was the third division governor. So there were 3 divisions in the district at that time. And my division was made up of multiple cities that I had to visit, travel across the length and breadth of India. And there were 13 clubs in that division at that time. My focus was on ensuring that I spread the knowledge and awareness of Toastmasters, help in building new clubs, and making sure that the officers understood what they were supposed to do to help these clubs. That was what I was passionate about, growing Toastmasters because of all that I had gained even until then. And so that's exactly what I was doing. That was the focus. By the end of the year, yes, we added multiple clubs. We'd grown from 13 clubs in the division to 30 clubs in the division. But we did not clearly understand what were the goals, the district mission. What is it that Toastmasters International assessed us with? What were the benchmarks that they looked at? In June of 2007, I received a call from the district director, from the district governor then. He was calling from Bangalore, and he asked me, Deepak, would it be possible for you to help us get 4 ACs? And he, of course, meant advanced communicators. I said, but why do we need 4 ACs? Why do we need 4 advanced communicators? He said, we need them. And this was the 15th of June that he was calling me. And he said, we need them by the 30th of June. In 15 days, he said 4 advanced communicators. Now you must realize this was a brand new district, very few members with experience. They were still in their early speeches, very few people eligible to do advanced speeches. And that was a big ask, looking for 4 people to complete their advanced communicator track within the 15 days. And I knew that our district governor was speaking to all of the other division governors as well, trying to get hold of those 4. And he explained to me why it was necessary. He said Toastmasters International ranked districts according to a score sheet. And those with the highest scores, the first 6 districts with the highest scores were President's Distinguished, the next 6 were Select Distinguished, and then the remaining who met the minimum criteria were Distinguished. And the minimum criteria, there was a certain number of competent communicators to achieve, certain number of advanced communicators to achieve, and finally, certain number of membership payments and new clubs or paid clubs in the district to achieve. Of course, paid clubs and membership payments continue. Today, we're ranked on the basis of distinguished clubs, but at that time, it was CCs and ACs that was the basis. And so to become distinguished, we needed to achieve 43 advanced communicators, and we were at 39. And if you looked at the scores, we were number 8 in the world. So if we had got those 4 advanced communicators, we would have ended the year as a select distinguished district, the first year of our district after formation. Well, the year ended and we did not achieve those 4 ACs, and we were not distinguished. And that was a lesson that I learned from failure that year. I blame myself for not having understood early on in the year as to what were the goals, what were the benchmarks that we needed to work on, simultaneously with everything else that we were doing. The following year, I was Lieutenant Governor Marketing. I got elected to that position in 2007-8, along with Balraj Arunasalam, who became the LGET that year. And our district governor was a gentleman called Venkat. We got it together early on in the year to talk about what we had experienced in the last year, and also to talk about what should be our vision, what should be the goal that we must set for ourselves, and how are we going to be able to implement that, not just in this following 1 year, but in years to come. And we set up a 5-year success plan for ourselves. And we looked at what we needed to do to implement it in the year that we had to. We knew that we would have to be President's Distinguished, not just this 1 year, but year after year. And we needed to do it consistently by setting in the parameters of success. And we did. By the year end, we were indeed President's Distinguished. We were the number 1 district in the world. And we continued having that success for 4 successive years. We were number 1 in the world, President's Distinguished, year after year after year. And then after that, the district was reformed into 2 districts. And one of them was number 1 and the other number 2. Today, there are 4 districts, and they all vie to become number 1 or at least be in the top 10 districts in the world. That's the legacy that we ensured that we were able to leave behind. The legacy of success, the legacy of understanding how important it was to have a vision, how important it was to ensure that we understood what the goals and the objectives should be, and how to ensure that we implement those plans that we make. Indeed, Toastmasters provides us tremendous opportunities for learning and growth and development, provides us lessons that we cannot learn elsewhere. When we meet people who do not know about Toastmasters, we generally tell them Toastmasters is an organization that helps people enhance their communication skills and leadership skills. Quite like what my uncle told me way back in 2002 in May. But what if we tell them our stories? Tell them what we've learned in Toastmasters, not just about communication skills, not just about building leadership skills, but all these life lessons that we learn in Toastmasters and how it impacts us all. I'm sure each one of you has a story to tell about how it has impacted you. What are the lessons that you've learned through Toastmasters? How powerful would it be if you tell your story to people that you meet, your acquaintances, and tell them what you've learned and gained. Before I leave you, I must tell you about one other lesson that I've learned in Toastmasters, and that is the lesson of gratitude. I've learned how important it is to be grateful to people who help us, who are there as part of our teams, who are there to support us in everything that we do, our mentors. I'm sure that each one of you has a mentor who has supported you, has helped you, and it is well worth it to acknowledge them and support them and help them and tell them how much you appreciate them. Words of gratitude, words of appreciation is what we receive in Toastmasters. And therefore, I am grateful to you for listening to me today, for understanding what I have learned in Toastmasters. Friends, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. And with that, I'd like to turn you over to District Director Joel.
Thank you very much for that inspiring story. I can tell you those are some very valuable lessons, and I'm pretty sure if you stay in Toastmasters long enough, each and every one of you, you will have those type of lessons. Okay, so next up on the agenda is we're going to go ahead and...
Hey, Joel.
Yes.
Well, I'm not to interrupt you, but we're a little bit ahead of schedule here. So I was going to ask President Menon if he would mind fielding some questions for about 5 to 10 minutes.
Awesome.
Absolutely, I'd be happy to.
Okay, so if anybody has a question, you can unmute yourself, ask your question, and then remute yourself, please. Okay, if nobody else is going to ask, I'll step in and ask. President Menon, do you know in the future, is Toastmasters International making plans to allow virtual meetings to continue even after COVID's quarantine is over?
Well, we even today allow online virtual meetings. Even before COVID, there were two kinds of clubs that were allowed to meet online. One were fully online clubs. Of course, those were unrestricted clubs. And then we had the hybrid clubs, which required that the majority of the members meet in person, while a minority could join virtually. So those hybrid meetings are still possible even after COVID. But the world has changed today. I do not know when we are going to see a normal achieved again the way we were prior to January 2020. Is this world, even 5 years later, going to be exactly the same as it was before January 2020? I can't say that. I'm not so sure. I know that people will still feel at risk about coming and meeting and getting back to the way that they were prior to that time, because of the fear that this pandemic has struck in us, because of the challenges that we've seen and the rapid infection that we've seen. We don't know when a vaccine is going to come or when treatments are going to come, which will be effective in us warding off this fear of the infection. And so I see a new normal emerging. And I'm sure that Toastmasters International, the board of directors, will take cognizance of this. So watch out for the future. It may be different from what we've experienced so far. I can't say what shape it might take, what shape online meetings will take, but certainly the board is keeping a close watch on the situation as it develops. For the moment, we're not changing any regulations. We're not saying that you need to get back to in-person meetings because we recognize reality.
Thank you, President Menon. And just for clarity, hybrid meetings are districted clubs?
That is correct.
Okay. Because I know there are a lot of clubs in our area. People have spoken to me quite about wanting to do hybrid clubs continuing
That's right.
as we go on. Because we found that a lot of people, even if they're not afraid of the infection, they can make a meeting if they are only going for the meeting. But when they have to take a half hour to get there or 20 minutes to get there and then 20 minutes to get back to their office, they can't fit it in. So we just thought that would be a great benefit.
Absolutely. And also, as I understand, there are many meeting venues or locations where they are limiting the number of people who can access the space. So where earlier you could accommodate 40 people, you're now down to 20 people or less. So that again is going to be a cause of a challenge, and certainly more and more clubs would want to turn into hybrid clubs. Of course, that comes with its own challenges, having some people in person and then having the infrastructure to be able to have the rest join in virtually. Toastmasters International will put up resources to help clubs around the world to be more effective when they're conducting hybrid meetings.
Thank you so much, President Menon. Okay, this is your last chance. Anybody have another question for President Menon?
Yes, we have Ms. Rebecca Arnett from Rabble Rousers would like to ask Mr. Deepak a question. Please unmute yourself, Rebecca.
Good morning. Just wanted to know real quickly, how has Pathways been overall internationally? How has it been? I know here in District 68, it was slow to catch on, though I'm seeing more and more people get excited about Pathways. But overall, with Toastmasters International, how has people embraced, or how have people embraced Pathways? And what's going in the future for Pathways? Are new paths coming out?
Absolutely. So now we have 11 paths. As you know, the humorously speaking path was added recently. And there are, of course, more paths that are likely to be added. I'm not going to tell you about what those paths may be. You will have to wait for announcements to come. But Pathways is now being universally adopted. And we have more and more members now taking on Pathways than they had earlier. I guess they recognize the fact that our legacy program, our traditional program is going away. And therefore, they have no option but to start off on Pathways. Also, many of our older members who were hesitating in taking up Pathways and starting up Pathways because of the fact that they were fearful of technology have now started embracing Pathways thanks to the pandemic, because now they have no choice but to come in online, to join meetings online. And now the fear of technology has gone away. They've started experimenting with Pathways too. So it's been a blessing in disguise. Of course, virtual meetings have also thrown up another opportunity where the world has been able to connect. I'm sure that each one of you has been able to go and attend meetings other than just your club meeting. And that is by just sitting at your desk at home, from where you've been able to go and attend meetings anywhere in the world. So it's been a huge opportunity.
Okay, are there any other questions?
I have one here, Joel. Anthony Sariel says, the legacy program required 40 speeches to get to distinguished. How many does Pathways require?
I haven't honestly counted.
Requires 28.
I think I will go ahead and count once I've completed my term as international president, because then I'll have the time to get back onto the paths. And I'm very keen to start working on the paths. I've started off on one path. I've just completed level 1. I have not had the time and opportunity to move forward, but I'm pining to get ahead and start on my paths as well.
I can answer that for you. It takes, if you're only looking at a minimum, it takes 28 speeches if you're only looking at the bare minimum, because there are some electives. You can take as many as you want. The difference between the legacy program and the pathway system is that they're a little more involved. Well, that's not the right way to say it. You have to be more involved in say club roles. You have to be more involved in the leadership side of it, not just the speaking. So it's kind of, if you look at the two, Pathways kind of balances it out versus being so heavily weighted on speaking as a legacy program was. It's kind of even out because you have just as many roles that you have to take. It's just leadership things that you have to be involved in.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Actually, I will just say for Anthony, and sorry to kind of jump in, but I'll say actually there is incentive to take the less active roles. You actually have to move past some of the levels in order to get to level 4. I believe you have to have fulfilled some of the roles by the end of your Toastmasters. By the time you get to the DTM portion, you have to have filled almost all of those. And there are actually some of the electives that require you to take those roles too. So they've actually really, I was excited about it. They really have balanced it out. And as Joel said, a lot of the pathways, the difference is when I did my DTMs for the legacy program, it was do a speech, do a speech, do a speech, do a speech. And then there were things that you did outside that you use for your DTM. This one really does say, hey, you know what? Take what you're learning, go do something with it. Come back, tell us, what did you learn? Show us your skill. And that to me was really what got me excited. You have to get past, for those of you who have been Toastmasters for quite a while, you're going to see the first level, you're going to see the first, second level. You'll be like, it's just about the same. No, wait till you get to level 3, 4, 5. You start to get really involved, and you actually don't find yourself speaking as much in the club because you're taking active roles, doing things for the club, doing things with others. So it really has turned more into an adult learning theory. And I got really excited about it. So sorry, I had to jump on my Pathways bandwagon for just a minute.
Not a problem. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Deepak. We're going to now turn it back over to Mr. Chick Miller so he can get on with the program. Chick Miller.
Thank you so much, Joel. And at this point, President Deepak Menon has agreed to install our officers. So we're looking very forward to that. Deepak?
Thank you very much, Chick. It is indeed an honor and a privilege to be installing the officers for the 2021 term. Toastmasters is really a place where leaders are made, and we have leadership almost like a revolving door in Toastmasters, where the door opens each year on 1st of July, lets in people from one side, and then the door moves and lets out some people from the other side. And this keeps happening all year, every year, where some people come into leadership, some exit leadership, and then enter the door again for another leadership role. Indeed, it's some of the most exciting times when we take up leadership positions and become adept at leading in Toastmasters, learning through doing, making sure that not only do we imbibe the lessons that we learn through leadership, but also use these leadership opportunities to provide service to our members who are hungry for the benefits that Toastmasters provides. The 2019-2020 term of officers has provided you service that has helped you ensure the best quality in your Toastmasters clubs, to ensure that they have provided you the way forward in growing and enhancing the skills that you need. I would like to recognize all of the officers of the 2019-2020 term. Those of you in this room today who are participating in this meeting know that you have served extremely diligently. This was not what you signed up for this year. This year has been one of the most unusual years in the history of Toastmasters. You signed up for it being a regular year where you thought that you would achieve all the goals that you set out for. But January 2020 or February 2020 started making you see things differently, and the world turned topsy-turvy. But you've kept your head above water. You've ensured that you have provided your service with courage and ensured that you have had the resilience to meet the situation. For this, your district, District 68, the members of your district are extremely grateful to you for your service. We acknowledge that you have been absolutely phenomenal in the service that you've rendered during this year. Toastmasters International acknowledges your service. At this time, I am not going to discharge you from your duties because you still have time to continue in the roles that you are in presently, right up to the midnight of the 30th of June, 2020. And by midnight, I mean midnight Mountain Time, not Central Time. And yes, it'll be at that time that you will be discharged from your duties. Thank you very much, district officers, for the 2019-2020 term. I would now like to install the incoming officers for the 2020-2021 term. I will first begin with the division directors who have been elected by you. The division directors who have been elected are for Division A, Cherry Freelo, Division B, Tawfiq Ashiru, for Division C, Jean Andras, and Division D, Brendan Moore. Are these officers present in the room?
I am.
I am as well. Brendan Moore.
Thank you. Terry,
Terry Freeland.
thank you. And Jean, and then
I am.
do we have, okay, thank you. So we have Tawfiq, who seems to be missing. Tawfiq, are you there?
He is.
Okay, can you unmute yourself? Can the division director-elects unmute themselves, please? Division directors-elect Terry, Tawfiq, Jean, and Brendan. As division directors for the 2020-21 term, it will be your role to help your area directors in understanding what their role is going to be, how they're going to be able to serve their areas to the best of their capability, to ensure that you serve as their mentors, as guides, to enable that they are able to perform the best that they can. You need to ensure that you're handling your divisions to the best possible to help the district mission in your divisions, in enhancing the quality of your clubs in your division, in enhancing the growth opportunities in your division, ensuring the retention of clubs in your division. Will you, as division directors, fulfill these responsibilities to the best of your ability? And there is a gavel that's going to come up in the next screen. Can I have the gavel, please? Is somebody, yeah, there's the gavel. I'd like you all to imagine that you're holding that gavel. And as I ask you again, will you, as division directors, fulfill these responsibilities to the best of your ability?
I
Hold
will.
this gavel and
Yeah.
say,
Yes.
I have,
will.
Yes.
yes.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes.
That was the only response that I expected from each one of you. Yes, you will. It is my honor to declare you installed as division directors for the 2020-2021 term. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the very best.
Thank you.
You.
Next up are the District 68 2021 managers. We have Tina Gilliot, who is going to be our public relations manager. She's past district director of this district. We have Hazel Maskrinas, who's going to be the finance manager, and we've got Tabitha Grimes, who will be serving as administration manager. Tina, Hazel, and Tabitha, are you there in this meeting today? Can you unmute yourselves?
I'm here, Tina.
I'm
Tina is there, Tabitha is there.
Tabitha.
Mm-hmm.
Hazel is
are you
here.
there? Hazel's
Yes.
there as well. Thank you very much. Tina, in your role as the public relations manager, and I'm sure that you know this role extremely well, having been the district director, you will be responsible to ensure that you will provide the knowledge about Toastmasters, not just to your members, the ability to enhance skills, the opportunities that Toastmasters provides, not only to your own members within the district, but to members at large, to public at large, so that they find out about Toastmasters, so that they are aware of what Toastmasters is and what benefits it provides, so that more and more members are attracted towards Toastmasters and get to join and taste the benefits of Toastmasters. It will be your role to have a district newsletter to ensure that you provide this information, ability to provide information across the district to everybody. Have the social media platforms available for people to use to be able to grow Toastmasters in District 68. Of course, you will be assisted by a team of people, but you will be the one responsible for this position. As district finance manager, Hazel, it'll be your duty to ensure that you keep the accounts of this district to maintain the finances, to ensure that you help in preparation of the budget, make sure that you fund the rightful expenses that are incurred by the district officers in the course of their duties. Make sure that you stand firm when there are unreasonable requests which are made for finances, for expenses, and be of assistance to the district director in making sure that the district's finances are the best kept in all of the Toastmasters world. As administration manager, Tabitha, it'll be your duty to ensure that you maintain all the minutes of all the meetings that are conducted by the district, whether they be executive committee meeting minutes or they be the district council minutes. You will also be responsible for all communication and correspondence that the district makes officially, to keep all of those in your custody, to ensure that you have the district administrative bylaws available with you, and to basically maintain the records of this district safely, be the custodian of these records, so that not only do you update them, but then hand them on to your successor. Will you, Toastmasters, Tina, Hazel, and Tabitha, perform these duties to the best of your ability? And please remember, you're holding the gavel when you say, what will you say?
Yes, I
Yes,
will.
I will.
Thank you very much. It is my honor to declare all three of you installed in the roles that you have been appointed in. Congratulations, and I wish you all the very best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
The next officer is Club Growth Director, Vanessa Chatelain, Distinguished Toastmaster. Congratulations, Vanessa, on being elected the Club Growth Director of the district. As the Club Growth Director, it will be your responsibility to look at or consider the building of new clubs part of the district mission. It will be your role and responsibility to grow new clubs, to help retain clubs in the district, to ensure that no club dies this year while you are the custodian of District 68, of the clubs in District 68. It'll be your responsibility to grow membership as has been never before, so that District 68 sets up a record in this year. Will you, Vanessa Chatelain, as the Club Growth Director, fulfill these responsibilities to the best of your ability?
I will.
Thank you very much. I declare you installed as the 2021 Club Growth Director. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's my honor.
Thank you. The next individual to be installed is our incoming Program Quality Director, Shirley Birch, Distinguished Toastmaster. Shirley, are you there?
I am.
Thank you, Shirley. Congratulations, Shirley, on being elected Program Quality Director. In your role as the Program Quality Director, you will be responsible for the second part of the district mission, to help all clubs in achieving excellence during the year, ensuring that you provide them the best training possible to the club officers and the district officers, so that they can enhance the quality of the club meetings, which in turn will ensure satisfied members who will want to continue to engage with Toastmasters and will gain the best benefits possible from Toastmasters. It'll be your role to ensure that you provide an atmosphere of learning and growth and development across the district. Will you, as the Program Quality Director of District 68, fulfill these responsibilities to the best of your ability?
I will.
And thank you very much. I hope that you were holding the gavel as you spoke. Thank you. I hereby declare Program Quality Director Shirley as installed in that capacity of the Program Quality Director for 2020-2021. Congratulations, Shirley.
Thank you so much.
Our next individual to be installed is the CEO of, incoming CEO of District 68, the District Director, Chick Miller. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about pronouncing the name as if I was in France. But you know, next year we'll be in Paris and there will be opportunity for calling him Chic instead of Chick. Chick, as the incoming district director, you are holding a huge responsibility. As you hold this gavel, the virtual gavel, which is going to be available on the screen now, you must remember to wield it with empathy. Yes, it's a symbol of authority, but yet it is a symbol of empathy. Ensure that you provide the best leadership you possibly can to not only your close district team made up of the program quality director, club growth director, and the extended managerial team, but also to all of your division directors and area directors and the members across the district. They're going to look upon you as a role model, modeling the behavior, the experiences that they are looking for, and ensuring that you provide them the best leadership that you can. You will be responsible for ensuring that the district mission is complied with, is achieved through everything that you do during this year as you serve as district director. In this year, you should set your vision, your objectives, your goals, and ensure that you have plans in place to implement those goals, to make sure that you end the district not just as a distinguished or better district, but perhaps aim for a least distinguished district by the end of the year. And you have the support of all your team in achieving that goal. Will you, as the district director of District 68, fulfill these roles and responsibilities to the best of your ability?
I absolutely will.
Congratulations, Chick. I have the honor to declare you installed as the District Director 2021 of District 68. Congratulations, Chick. I would now like to request our current District Director, Joel, to pin the incoming District Director with the District Director pin. Joel is virtually pinning, you can imagine Joel virtually pinning Chick with the pin. Can you see that? I can.
We all can.
Thank you, Joel. Thank you, Joel, for your service. I'd like to now ask Chick to pin the past district director pin onto Joel. Can we have the past district director pin on the screen, please? That's the one. Yes, that's right. Chick, can you pin Joel?
I humbly pin this pin on you, and thank you for all your service.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Joel. Thank you, Chick. It's been an honor to have installed all the incoming officers of District 68. I know you have a fantastic team of leaders who are going to be serving District 68. They have all pledged that they will be serving you to the best of their abilities. But this will only be possible, members of District 68, if you stand with these leaders, if you fulfill the promise that you made when you joined Toastmasters. Do you recall the club, the promise that you made, the Toastmasters promise that you made when you joined Toastmasters? Well, you are the ones who are required to ensure that you fulfill those promises in your clubs when you go to your meetings. And that's the best way that you're going to be able to support these district leaders who are there to help you and assist you. Will you, members of District 68, fulfill this role that I am asking you to? And please unmute yourselves and say, yes, I will.
Yes,
Yes, I will.
Yes, I will.
I will.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I will.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Members of District 68, I wish that all the members of all districts in the world were as receptive, as cooperative as you have been. And I'm sure that District 68 is in for a fantastic year in 2021. I wish you all the very best.